Everyone stand up, pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if we can have roll call, please.
Mrs. Boyce.
Here.
Mr. Bova.
Here.
Mrs. Burns.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mrs. McBride.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter. No. Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Dr. Singh I knew wasn't going to be here.
I was just looking to see if John jumped in yet.
That's what I was doing too.
All right, we had executive session prior to this meeting at 5:15, and we discussed personnel issues. So, first on the agenda, comments from residents on agenda items.
Not everybody speak at once. There is nobody in the audience.
All right, anyone in internet land out there? I see John's one now. All right, so next would be board member discussion items.
Hey, Robin, I'm in. This is John.
Hi, John, thank
I had
you.
to sign in twice. Okay, I'm in. Thank you.
All right. Board member discussion items. We'll go around.
Nope. Yes. Okay, that's it.
Hey,
Schedule.
Robin. Hey,
Someone just-
this is John. I've been watching the cafeteria requests for personnel. They really, if we could have some folks out in TV land, if you know of anybody that might like to work in the cafeteria, they really could use some help in there. So step forward if you can.
So, since John brought that up, I know we do not make rates for them, correct?
We do. It's been bargained and negotiated for in the CBA. So that's currently what we're negotiating in the Teamsters contract.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem.
Jack.
I do have one quick thing. You might have noticed in the paper, I think over the weekend, that I may get these flipped, but I think Upper St. Clair is considering moving back the start time for high school. I think Mount Lebanon already does, in addition to a number of other districts in the area. And I'm sure we're all familiar with this. There's lots of data suggesting that particularly the high schoolers, if they start even 15, 20, 30 minutes later, there's a marked and profound effect on their performance. This has been brought up here. I seem to remember Mr.
Drumheller and Mr.
They
Elm.
brought this up years ago. I know it's in terms of logistics, it's complicated, but I'm simply raising the issue as one to consider and asking our staff to give it some thought, some more thought, or they've probably given it tons of thought. Just give us your input on, do you think it's worth something pursuing? It seems as we move to the new middle school, it may give us an opportunity in terms of transportational flexibility that we didn't have. Transportation? Flexibility that we didn't have before. So if there's a time to do it, perhaps this is the time. So that's it.
You know what, Jack, I have to say though, if we delay it, do the kids go to bed earlier or stay up? That's where you look at it too. Is it gonna make a difference with
Yes,
the
it's
kids?
certainly a reasonable question, and because the studies don't talk much about, how it affects teenagers' bedtimes, yeah, it's a good point, actually. I didn't even talk, I don't know, yeah, but they just say, hey, I can stay up a half an hour later. I don't know, but the data seems to suggest that even if they stay up a half an hour later, because they're so poorly functioning very early in the morning, there's still the advantage. My time's up, I'm sorry.
I just brought that up because there was always that.
Yeah, sure.
My only concern is who goes last then. I mean, that pushes the bus schedule, speaking of bus.
But the benefit of that is there's a number of schools, as Mr. Bova mentioned, that have done this. I know Hampton has most recently done it as well. So we could utilize and look at their bell schedule, look at the bumps that they've had, and kind of make a determination. So I thought this would be a good health and safety committee and even a curriculum and equity committee discussion this spring.
Because my other concern is that the little ones don't get home, depending upon where you are in Monroeville, sometimes with
I think what-
traffic, until I've seen them come in my neighborhood after 4 o'clock.
I think what they've done
In
is,
school districts, the little ones start earlier. They start at, the one, I think you're giving the example, I think they start at 8:10.
Right, they did that.
Yeah.
And because what they're saying is it's the teenage years that are more difficult and they need the more sleep as toddlers and as elementary kids. We put them to bed as a parent at 8 or 8:30. So that wasn't the issue. The start time with the elementary isn't an issue. They're pushing back the high school past the elementary, so they're flipping it.
Or it might be an advantage to the parents that have older kids that can put their younger brother or sister on the bus in the morning.
So, Dr. Rossi, this is John. I think there's a way to study this using multivariable factors. In other words, you name a bunch of factors and then you get the data and then you project it against those factors. So some of the factors would be the elementary school kids perform better or worse than high school kids that are worse. Are there fewer missed buses in the morning or in the afternoon? Are the kids moodier or less moody? Like if you get about 10 different variables and then scan for those variables, you might like some of the variables that offer what we want and dislike the ones that we don't, and that gives us a better feel for how we want to proceed with this. In other words, there's no, like Jack said, there's no perfect answer on this, but we need a better way to get some data that we can digest on this rather than just saying another school district tried it and it failed or succeeded. We don't know what those words mean.
we'll start gathering some information from the local schools that have done this, and then we can provide that to the board.
And ask them too about if you're going to readjust the younger ones. One of the things, I just had a rather lengthy conversation with a parent, before and after school is always an ongoing problem with the little kids. Older kids, a lot of times at 16, can go in a house and do whatever by themselves. When they're 6, that's not going to happen. So how do they make adjustments? Do they have have that into consideration, and how would that work too?
Another variable is the number of kids that attend after-school programs or after-school sporting events. Does it increase or decrease when the start time is changed? I don't know. We don't know.
Well, no, John, it would be with the little kids, who's picking them up from the buses?
Of course,
getting them on
I'm
the
just.
buses? Yeah.
I agree. There's a lot of good questions to be asked about
Yeah.
this.
If you could find that out too, I'd appreciate it.
All right, any other discussion items from board members?
I just gave you the minutes from the Buildings and Grounds. First of all, we had it last Thursday, and we went to Ramsey Elementary. We went there for a purpose.
Real quick, we're gonna have the board committee.
Oh, you want to do that after?
Yeah, that's gonna, there's
Okay.
a
I'm sorry.
section
Go
on
ahead.
agenda for
Yeah,
that.
that's fine.
Okay, not a problem. Anything else? All right, so moving along, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
We're good. Yeah.
We're good,
Yeah.
okay. And then
Mike.
hand it over to
Mike, you have
you.
the financial reports.
Thanks, Dr. Rossi. Approval of the financial reports, list of bills, February 2024. Approval of the budget transfers 5.3 for February of 2024.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And then we don't have any items previously tabled.
Right, but we have two
We
action
do
items.
have 2 action items, yep.
Okay, so we have a couple of action items. We have an action item that will need a motion to approve, displaying the comprehensive plan. Dr. Chaky reviewed the plan with us during the Curriculum and Equity Committee meeting. Need a second? Any questions?
When will the comprehensive plan, what she explained to us, will that be implemented into the school? What are we going to be doing with that?
Well, after tonight, it'll go on 28-day display, and then the board will have to formally vote on it in March, and then we'll start implementing it this summer.
Into the school?
The start date will be July 1. Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Any other questions? All right, take a vote. All in favor?
Let's do this
Oh.
roll call.
Roll call, okay.
Mrs. Boyce?
Aye.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carried. All right, so the second action item is the approval of the hiring of John Walsh as Director of Facilities at an annual salary of $105,000. Our Buildings and Grounds Committee had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Walsh earlier this month, and the rest of us had an opportunity to meet him earlier this evening. So,
Motion to approve. Second.
all right. Any questions?
Myself and Cheryl were part of the Building and Grounds Committee, we met with him. He came highly recommended and shared some ideas he had, so Cheryl, you want to add anything
I did
to?
have an opportunity to walk this building, and this was a good idea, Dr. Ross, because that way we got to hear what his suggestions were, just looking at this particular building. So, yeah, he answered all the questions and explained it well. And he has the background, and hopefully all will go well. Yeah.
All right. All right, no more discussion, let's have roll call.
Mr. Bova?
Aye.
Mrs. Burns?
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney?
Aye.
Mrs. McBride?
Aye.
Ms. Mungo?
Aye.
Mr. Ritter?
Aye.
Mrs. Warning?
Aye.
Mrs. Boyce?
Aye.
All right. So next will be personnel.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mungo. We have resignation of one SRO, employment of 4 individuals, 2 leave of absences, 1 transfer, 2 supplementals, and 8 independent volunteers.
All righty.
Can I just ask, in further reports, for things, could you designate what the asterisks mean and things like that done out in the past?
Yes, we'll add it in for next time. Absolutely.
Okay, so. All right. So administrative resolutions.
Dr. Jakey?
Thank you, Dr. Rossi. For item 9.1, we have the 24-25 school calendar. 9.2, we have the Reach Higher Cengage Learning, Inc. ESL curriculum. Item 9.3, Ready, Set, Go Continental Press ESL curriculum. 9.4, Learn Well Virtual Academic Support Services for Special Education. Item 9.5, Oveus Bullying Prevention Student Questionnaire. And item 9.6, conference request for Cindy Capel Skyward Conference in Harrisburg, April 16th and 17th.
Item number 10, recommend approval to accept the following change orders. Gateway Middle School change orders, 10.1. Item 10.2, closure of Mosside Middle School as required by PDE. Item 10.3,
Next week?
yeah, accept the athletic trainer proposal as the board agrees upon. Item 10.4, agreement of the Allegheny Intermediate Unit to lease 1 room and a nurse's office at Mosside Middle School for a total of $29,664 from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. The lease room will be part of Allegheny Intermediate's preschool early intervention program. Item 10.5, accept donations to Chucky and Mahoney Memorial Foundation of $3,000. It's educational training to lower depression and suicide rate among our youth. It's going to benefit the students at Dr. Cleveland Stewart Elementary School. Next donation, $1,000, Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank for food and supplies. It's going to benefit Gateway School District.
Can I ask a question? About the lease agreement.
Yes.
Okay, is that the going rate for leasing? And I see that we're covering utilities and janitorial services. I'm assuming this was all taken into consideration when we came up with the cost of the lease.
Yes, and for the most part, we break even. It's just to have maintain a great relationship with the Allegheny Intermediate. They do a lot of stuff for us. We do a lot of stuff for them.
Okay.
But and then we added some language in there. If they want to pull out, if we want to pull out down the road, I worked with Chelsea Dice yesterday to get some, to protect us down the road.
Okay.
If we, if we have different options at the Moss side once it's vacant.
Okay.
So question, you done? without-
Yep.
So if Moss Side, we're closing Moss Side, where will they be?
Up in the nurse's office are, or in the classroom across from the nurse's office.
Who will be taking advantage of that?
Their DART program, I think it's their preschool program.
Okay, I see that. Okay.
Yeah, they rented from us at 2 elementary schools for a while, but then we ran out of room.
How many rooms they need for the preschool early intervention program? Do you know?
It's one classroom and a nurse's office.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot of students. There's not a lot of students.
Okay.
Dr. Rossi, could you talk about what you're doing with the closure of Moss Side Middle, just in case people aren't aware?
Yep. So there's some requirements we have to hit for PDE. So what we need to do is pick a date at least 15 days out after advertising, and we have to hold a hearing, which is essentially we just read some information on the rationale and the reasons why we're closing. So we're looking at holding that hearing on the March 18th at 5:30.
I believe we did this before. Did we put something for closure before?
That was the name change. Name fit is a little different.
Okay. So that means we're getting close.
Getting closer. Yep.
Did you say 13th?
It's the 18th, I believe. 18th.
Also, with all these change orders, everything is current? Have we approved any of these in the past, or are these all?
These are all new change orders. We're just trying to close things out as we get closer to the project being completed. There's some loose ends that we met with Doug the other day, Dr. Rossi, myself, and Mr. Brown. We went over them. These were necessary to get everything, the contractors, some of them, they owe us money, we owe them money. It's a variety of reasons. And it's just more of a formality moving forward so that we have everything board approved before the project's completed.
I didn't add it up. What is this total?
275,000.
I have a question. On the change order dated 10/4/23, demo and replace stage floor oak stripping. Did they not know? Did they not look at the floor before?
Bob, are you on? Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm on. Actually, I had a question on that one myself, but there was damage to the substructure of that. So it had to be torn up in order to repair the substructure that was rotted.
Okay, and then the repair cafeteria floor, for terrazzo. Okay, so you had to fix the underneath floor to lay the terrazzo for this one?
Yes, that area was multiple rooms in the old building.
Okay.
And they would not warrant it due to the poor condition of the concrete.
To be honest, I read repair terrazzo floor and not the words in between. Like, I just saw red. I was like, wait a minute.
So Bob, when we did our last walkthrough, that was after 10/4. Was the auditorium for should I say the stage floor, had that been repaired by then?
Yes.
Okay.
I was looking at the more expensive items here. What converts CCD 4 to a change order, 65,000. What is that?
I actually had a question on that one. When I read it, it states that was, pull it out here. Give me a second, I have them all here in front of me. It read that that was not to be a cost to us. Give you the exact wording. States in the change order that it would convert previously authorized CCD4 to a change order. Payments made under CCD4 apply equally to this change order. No additional payment is to be made. So I'm not clear what you guys came up with on that. But reading that, it sounds to me like that's supposed to be a net zero change order.
I think Doug mentioned in our meeting, Bob, that that was a formality because of the money was moving around there. So I think that one was a formality, but I'll check with Doug tomorrow.
Yeah, it was just the way it read.
Yeah.
That it sounds like it should be a net zero change order, not a charge.
It shouldn't be 65,000.
But on paper it is, so he cautioned us that some of these would look like that. So we'll get clarification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, do you understand at all what this is? Because I don't.
No.
You're saying, we don't clearly, we need clarification because it says convert CCD4 to a change order. So if somebody could break that out a little more specific,
Yeah, we'll get it.
please.
Yeah.
That means nothing at this point.
And the other large amount, 61,000, provide heavy shelf angles at large window openings. What is that?
Bob, is that the
Another
same?
one that's actually very old, that, you know, I thought that was the second one that they have to confirm what that is, because I believe we paid for that already.
I was gonna say, I thought, is this in the kitchen? We discussed that.
But some of this, I'll get information, but a lot of this is a formality that things weren't
Yeah.
addressed. You see, that's October, so that's why.
They're just
Yeah,
such large
right,
amounts.
right.
I just
Yeah.
Right.
wonder
And we
what's
also don't
happening.
quite know what.
Our goal is to have everything clean. So moving forward, in March, you're going to see February. So we're not going back it's going to be the previous month, the current rate.
I thought, I know, but I want to say that we changed these shelves already and paid it. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but there was like a.
Some of these are, yes, yes, but they need formal board approval and a signature. So we're not going to do that till after the board approval.
Oh, so we're not repaying because we already approved that because it was over 50,000.
Right, a lot of these costs we've already paid. They're already included, like when he sends me to pay up every month, a lot of these stuff, these prices are already in there. We're just going through a formality as we get closer to the finish line.
Because other than those two items, everything else, you guys had board approval,
Right.
pre-board approval for
Yeah.
50,000 and under, correct? So we just need clarification if we already approved these two $60,000 ones. And if it was, okay.
So on 12/7, I'm sorry, charge for a leak repair on the B addition, is that they taking off for it, or is that an
There's a
addition?
credit 3 lines down from.
Okay, I got it, just making sure. Okay.
Zero.
Right, no, it's not zero, just zero. No,
It says minus.
look.
Oh,
it took it
minus.
over.
Susan, come on.
Thanks, Bob, that's what I'm not.
Anything else?
Yeah, Dr. Chaky, 9.2 and 9.3, we have two different ESL curriculums, or they have different focuses?
Yeah, they're different focuses, but they're just updates from the current curriculum that we have right now.
Well, that's what I was asking. Yeah, there wasn't a school calendar attached.
The school calendar is going to be very similar. Now, the state just changed the requirements, so we were kind of holding off. Previously, there had been a requirement for 180 days or the 900 hours for elementary, 990 hours for secondary. So that has changed. It's an either or now. So we've been working with the association. We were considering adding 2 Act 80 days, which would be 2 training days that we desperately need for all the required trainings. And so we're trying to iron that out this week to have it ready for Monday. But it'll be very similar to this year's calendar, to be honest with you.
What's the graduation date?
Well, I will have a son graduating next year, so.
I know.
But that's what's kind of in play, depending on the Act 80 days. If we add the Act 80 days, we can maybe potentially bump that up 2 days. If not, it'll stay around June 2nd or 3rd.
Oh. New Year's Day is a Wednesday. The Chucky Mahone donation, what type of training will they be doing? Is that just going to be at Cleveland Stewart?
It's at Cleveland Stewart. The principal at Shireen is handling that. I don't know if she's bringing in outside speakers or what she's doing with it, but we just got this last week, so.
That's one of our required trainings, actually, that we'd probably would meet with the presenter and then maybe try and even expand that to all elementary. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we go back to the administrative resolutions for Sbss? Those are all on display, that we can look at them. The ESL curriculum is correct. You will look for those for 30 days. And the questionnaire for the bullying prevention, is that available? Can you?
We can get that, yep. We typically don't make it available to the public, but parents can come in and preview it, but we don't hand it out.
Yes.
But we do have a copy. Yes, yep, we have a copy. Yep.
That we can
Yep.
just see. And the rest of it, though, will be available for public display.
We put it on display before the students take
Have to
the,
read that.
yeah, right.
Do you guys make the student questionnaire?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you get a good amount that do it?
Yeah, obviously you got to keep in mind it's kids taking it's a survey.
Right.
So we keep that in mind, but we've done it the last couple of years, and we talk to kids too. So we try to validate what's on the survey. We talk to the kids, but we make our bullying prevention action plan. That's part of it. Is that data?
I mean, but do the kids like in a class, does the teacher like stand up there and be like, okay, you know what, today we're going to take 10 minutes. Let's fill out this survey.
Yes, it's online, and so there's a window. We work with the principals. They work with the teachers.
Oh, so they do all that. That's
yeah.
anonymous.
Sorry?
Is it anonymous?
It's anonymous, yes.
Anything else? All right, so next would be, do we have any board member resolutions? No, thanks. Nope. All right. Comments from all the residents in the audience on non-agenda items. As Val said, don't all speak at once.
Yeah, I know.
Malign.
Hopefully, if they did have a problem, they would come here or email us.
Or maybe not even a problem, just be here to participate.
Yeah, versus Facebook participation.
Yeah.
All right, so next would be reports.
We have couple slides. Micah, if you can put the slide deck up, please.
Yep, 1 second.
That's good. Yeah, we'll be quick. All right. Mike, are you playing with that?
Yep, it's ready now.
Because I kept hitting the click. All right. We just want to recognize Mr. Sample's class. He was lucky enough to take 4 students up to Alexis Club PPG. The students engaged in some hands-on workshops, learning from industry experts. And so it was a great experience for the kids, and just wanted to recognize Mr. Sample and his work on the Pittsburgh Penguins Tech Academy, powered by CGI. And then I don't know if you had a chance, last week I watched in anticipation Jada, Nathan, and Abia move on to the KD Quiz playoffs. So congratulations to them and Mr. Pottinger for preparing the students. They did a great job.
They should come and tell us about it.
Well, they're not. They got to keep going. So they're on to the next phase. Yeah. The Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank has recognized the Gateway School District for the 2023 Child Hunger Hero recipients for our contributions for outstanding food service to our students. And you can see we're one of a few there that got the gold winter. So we want to recognize the food service department, but also all the volunteers for the backpack program and all the good work they're doing. So thank you. We appreciate that. And I know our students and families
Did
do
our
as well.
Eagle Scout get his project?
He was approved last night.
Nice.
Good. And then Dr. Chasey is going to hit some of the highlights real quick on the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, this is a good graphic to show some of the progress we've been making with the comprehensive plan, with a couple meetings that we've had, and then with the parent survey and the teacher survey, the 28-day display, and like Dr. Rossi mentioned earlier, the approval in March this year. Looking at our strategic initiatives, we reviewed this during the curriculum and the equity committee meeting, looking at the 4 different domains that we're really focused on as part of the plan. The teaching and learning, you know, the heart of everything that's going on in the school there, the evidence-based instructional practices, family engagement, community partnerships, we talked a lot about within this plan, really thinking about the transitions for students and making sure that they're supported the whole way through. Technology integration, innovation, looking at the balanced use of technology, making sure that we're using it for instructional purposes, and it's really supporting the learning and not replacing the learning. And safe and supportive schools, not only physical structure, but also the mental aspect of this as well. And really rounding out with looking at the portrait of a graduate. What are the skills and mindsets we want our students to have whenever they leave us here at Gateway and they go into the world as citizens?
This will probably last a little longer. We've been running this parallel with the comprehensive plan, but we'd like to engage the parents a little bit more as we move through it, but we've had some great discussions.
Can I ask a question? Have you guys ever considered doing a survey of those after graduating from Gateway?
After graduation?
Yeah, there's actually, we were looking into that as well. There's some software programs that can do that with, you know, our student information system, but really that's a great way to get data and information on how well we prepare the students.
Yeah.
And already some preliminary results with the parent survey. Here are some themes that are coming out, which they would like to see our students graduate at Gateway with: the leadership, the adaptability, all the way through some of those common skills. And the teacher survey results, which aren't final, but you can see some of the other themes that are emerging there as well. The ones in the gold match with the parent survey responses. So we've got a lot of good data and some good information to move forward.
Dr. Cheggy, what was the percentage return on the survey? So do you feel like you had good participation?
There was over 300 parents so far. It's still open.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. Thank you. All right, so next would be committee reports. And I know that Susan had a committee meeting. Susan, you want to kind of brief us, give us the highlight?
Yeah, a lot of what, I didn't go into all of that highlight because Dr. Chakey just did, which came out in the meeting, which was very good. I appreciated him going through the Gateway Comprehensive Plan in more detail. I put in there some terms that we see a lot, but we sometimes, it's between acronyms and other little words we see, TPS, MTS. So I just kind of threw those in for any of us as well, because we tend not to remember them or we see them and just as well. But we met Dr. 3, and she also met with Dr. Kane even after our meeting. The next day, I believe. And basically, we had very good attendance, and I think that all the things that we covered, and then being able to look at some things that'll be on display, I think going forward, I think we're at a very good place with it. Do you have anything to say about, Cheryl, anything?
No, the only thing is I was thinking, you were talking about sending out a questionnaire, and we went through all of that preliminary stuff that was about the planning. You were saying about asking the kids as they graduate to do a questionnaire. You know what I'd really like to see? I'd like to see them 2 years into college telling us how we did.
Well, college or
trade or, right.
Mhm.
And I don't know how you can make that happen because a lot of the things we're talking about is prepping them for the future. And the only way we really know is it's true. You can ask them as they graduate.
Well, no, I was thinking beyond that, like
Yeah,
colleges do.
Yeah, I really want to see that because that's something that once your own children, got kids in school, and you hear what they say. I really like this teacher because he prepared me to take notes. And that was really important and all those kind of things. So, and I don't even think you could do it at the first year, do you?
Probably not.
Probably 2
Need at
years
least-
down the road.
Yeah, I think you'd need 2 years.
I don't know how you make that happen, but if you could even get some of them to respond to you. Now, some of them walk out this door and they don't want to ever talk
Well, the
about
same way, I
school.
guess they try to reach out to those to get reunions going.
Right,
So-
right. If there's some way you
Have
can
their
do that.
addresses and email addresses that we
It's
can.
really important because that's when you really hear the truth. And it's too soon after they just graduate, so
Yeah, they need at least a couple of years because the first year is always going to be tough.
Yeah, because that's the only way we're going to know everything we're talking about, if it's actually working, sometimes getting the input from them. But no, I think it was good to have that presentation. I appreciated that at the meeting.
Any questions for Susan? All right, so Buildings and Grounds Committee, you're next.
Again, last Thursday, February, we were over at Ramsey. The reason we went to Ramsey at 5:30, we met with 2 members of the municipality, including the municipal manager, and we walked around the playground area. Now, this has been something, since I've been on the board, we've discussed fencing. And once you really walk and you look at that area, that park and that playground does not belong to us. It belongs to the municipality. That's not ours. We use it, and the kids use it at recess. It is really a logistics issue to put a fence up there. You'd have to have a number of gates. The parking lot for that park is really the parking lot that the Ramsey folks use. It's just a logistics issue. It's going to be expensive. And I got the impression, I don't know, Dr. Rossi, if you get the impression, I don't think my mother was overly enthusiastic because that would really block off that area for the municipality to use. I'm thinking this is probably not something that we're going to necessarily pursue.
They were also concerned about the age of the playground itself. They said it's.
Right.
They,
The oldest one.
yeah.
It is the oldest one. And if you look at it, you're standing there, there would be a lot of excavation of that. There's some hillsides and there's various logistic things that would be impacted. So I think that fence is not probably going to.
They basically said when they go to replace the playground, if we put in a fence now, they would have to tear the fence
Rip
all
it out.
back out.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
Yeah.
Financially.
Yes, it would be an issue.
Did they talk about any repairs that needed done to the playground?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did. I
they
think
said-
they're going to work, they indicated to, I believe Dr. Rossi indicated to you, they were going to do some work on the playground.
They do safety upkeeps,
Yeah,
but
they
in
do.
terms of like redoing the whole thing, they're looking at grants for that.
Yeah, they are.
And
So-
Cheryl, this is John. A quick reminder: they wanted to make sure it was more accessible to folks that have, different needs than,
Right,
what
right,
are
because-
currently covered.
Right.
And this would be a great opportunity to bring everything up to date. It's one of the older playgrounds, right?
Yeah, it is. That's what they
Okay.
said.
This is a
And
good time to do that. Right?
Right, and so that just, that's not feasible for us right at this point in time to invest in that. We did also, since we were at Ramsey, did a review and discussion related to the possible changes in the main entrance of the school. We've looked at a lot of the main entrance of the school, and that was one of the other things that we discussed at length about how we're going to do that, because there has to be some changes there. We did have a preliminary discussion about Mosside Middle School, and that will be ongoing. There's some suggestions. You already had one tonight where we're going to rent out a room, a nurse's room and another classroom. So that was discussion came up. I'm sorry, did anybody say anything?
I have a question. Why? I'm just curious as to why the discussion about changing the front entrance.
It's all glass.
Oh, okay.
And
You don't mean moving it to a different location, you just mean.
no, we're physically,
Updating the safety features?
This, yes.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't like to get into a lot of details with safety issues, but it was obvious when you stand there. It brings in a lot of light the way it is right now, but there was a little, looked like something had been hit the window.
About that.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that.
yeah. Well, we won't. Anyway, so there's a lot of issues that have to be addressed for all our entrances. We
I
need to
think in
figure this
general, when
out.
we're talking about entrances to elementary schools, as we've done some of the other tours, is that when somebody comes in, about getting them sort of into the office area first.
Right.
As opposed to the house. And at Ramsey, it is straight into the hallway that is between classrooms and the gym. So you have to actually like walk across the hallway that the students are always going through, even to get to the office.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted thing. First of all, address the windows, and then that whole scenario about how you get in, because we've looked at all of that and there are suggestions as to how it should be done. So we're just adding that to the list, which comes to the issue of, since Bob Brown is retiring and we're having somebody else come on board, Bob asked me, because this is, if you haven't seen it, this is just a whole list of projects in the district. We're going to go through this, actually, Dr. Rossi, we're going to do it this week on Thursday. We're just going to sit down and go through everything. If we're not going to do the fence now at Ramsey, that money, I believe, was put in the budget. So now, what are we going to do with that money? And what projects are still a priority, and which one do we move up? Because if it has anything to do with heating or roofing, or there was the one at University Park, which was sewage, the sewage line needed a liner. Those are sort of priorities, so we want to reassess this before Bob leaves and put this together. So when we have a new gentleman come on board, we know exactly where our priorities are, building by building.
Cheryl, you might also want to mention, we took a quick look at the throughput for the buses and the parents trying to get in and drop off and pick
Yes.
up. And we just brainstormed everything we could possibly think of, not just us, but others as well. It's because of the arrangement of Ramsey the way it is, there's just really no easy solution to that. Not even an easy solution. It's just what it is. And so I hate to say it, but parents just, you just have to be patient to pick the kids up, and it's just going to take a good while sometimes, and that's the best you can do. And it's a little unsafe for people that really want to zoom around traffic, and while parents are waiting in line. So I don't like it. No one likes it, and there doesn't seem to be a better way to do it right now.
No, they are trying. I mean, they're doing, it is true, some of the other buildings have the same problem. And like at Evergreen, they opened up the playground, the gate to the playground, and they come in that back way. That's not possible at Ramsey. So Ramsey's probably a little more challenging what to do with the cars. And since COVID, we discussed that more parents are picking up their students.
Sure.
They're working on that, and it's an ongoing thing. But all the buildings, we're going to sit down. We have the list. The list is broken down by schools, and we will determine what needs to be done and reprioritize in some cases, since we're removing some items from this. There will be a walkthrough, which I informed all of you, at Gateway Middle School for us on March the 7th at 3 o'clock, where we will get to go through, hopefully, we will see where we're at with that when we do the walkthrough. I don't know if there's going to be any regular meeting in March. We will see, since we're getting ready to transition our buildings and grounds coordinator, and Bob is leaving. So we're going to work on that, and we'll know more after Thursday when we sit down and meet.
Sure, when you go through that list, I know I spoke today about the dance floor and the band practice field. I know there's projects that were budget approved.
Exactly.
And I'm saying on that list, what is approved in the budget and where is that going to happen, and the plans for those
Yeah,
versus the
that's-
things that are on that we need to do but aren't in the budget yet.
Right. Actually, when Bob gave this to me back when I got this position, it shows on here budgeted amounts, and it will show you. For example, Cleveland Stewart, the chimney and bricking pointing, and it's budgeted, and it shows the budgeted amount. So it's on here. We will go through this again and edit anything that's related, and then we can discuss. I don't know if you've all ever had this in the past, gotten this, or just the committee had it. Valerie, has the committee had this before in the past? All right. Has the committee had the spreadsheet before in the past?
No.
No. Okay, well, we'll work on that and we'll figure this out. This all has to be completely done over.
So I just want to tell all the parents and everybody out there, and I know you walked through Ramsey, but when the PSP, the Pennsylvania State Police came in and did the recommendations, the building is safe. Internally,
Absolutely.
we would like to see changes, the
Absolutely.
Buildings and Ground Committee and administration. So everything that was recommended, am I correct, Dr. Rossi and Dr. Takey, that were of any safety concerns or barriers, those have been handled. So the things that we're now talking about are what we want to change internally.
Exactly.
Everything is good in that. I just wanted to make that clear because we were talking about that stuff, and I didn't want.
Well, we talked about the entrance and the glass.
Right, but it is.
And we are walking through all these buildings.
Yeah, this is not,
We are walking through all these buildings. We've been to the elementary buildings now. We've gone through every single one. Some of them are having flooring. There's a variety of issues. We're on top of all this stuff. The buildings are safe.
Yes. We were talking about changing the front ends and stuff, but it's just due to what the administration and the board would
It's just
feel
a
more
flow issue too. It's a flow issue and how they get into the buildings and that kind of thing. So, but we will, if you haven't had the list before, we will try to reprioritize some of these things this week and figure out where we go from here, since we're going to have, Bob is retiring and then we have somebody else coming on board. So we will figure this out.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do you plan to prioritize, those?
Well, Susan, some of the things, for example, if you look at it, if there's a flooring issue and there's asbestos, then you would prioritize that. Okay. Or, like I said, if there's a sewage issue or a heating issue, you would prioritize that.
Okay.
So we will just go through all those and figure out, just like if you were at home, what would be a priority? Heating would be a priority, that kind of thing. They did complete some of these things too. So some of these things we can actually cross off the list because they are complete and we don't need to worry about them anymore.
But for budget season, we'll try to have a short-term and a long-term plan. So a three to 5 year plan that kind of outlines this so we can have an idea.
Mike, so the money that was budgeted for some of these, is the money still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we do a purchase order this year, it'll be charged this year, even if the work's done next year.
Just making sure.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that came up when we discussed this, when we were talking about fencing. It would be reallocated from something else, maybe add that with some other money that's not going to be used, and then we can do something else we couldn't do before.
All righty, so safety
Well, you want to talk about the
presentation?
Presentation.
Yeah, we saw it today, and we'll save it for next week.
No, we can talk about it today. We had a presentation today from a representative from Open Gate Metal Detector System that was pretty impressive. The benefits of it is the fact that they're very portable. Each unit, it comes with, one unit consists of 2 towers that run on a battery pack. You don't have this huge cumbersome setup where there's a bunch of wires and other things that need to connect to Wi-Fi. It's all Bluetooth enabled. You bring the tower in, each tower weighs 24 pounds. You put a battery in, it's comparable to a drill battery that you would have, maybe that you would get from Home Depot. And he ran through the test and he showed not only the versatility of it, but how you can adjust some of the sensitivity depending on what setting you want it. What are you looking for? Are you looking for vape pens? You could put a setting to where you're finding vape pens. Or if you're looking for larger weapons or things of that nature, it's 30 seconds to configure this. And the one thing that really resonated with us is this isn't just a startup company. The company's been around for years. They just sold a huge amount of detectors to the New York Police Department. They're in the CIA, Pentagon,
TSA.
So very reputable company. We look forward to looking at it, and it's a huge cost saving over what we have currently.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an impressive presentation. Yeah. All right, athletic committee.
Yes, we had We're, as you noticed, looking for a new athletic training proposal for our students. We interviewed Allegheny Health Network last week and East Suburban Sports today. We will be discussing that with best recommendation. They're both providing everything that we are asking for. The reason why we're looking for this is with the new fields that are opening up at Gateway Middle, we will need an additional trainer. So this is why we are looking for this right now. That's basically it.
Did you have a committee meeting?
No, it's tomorrow night. So the
Okay.
finance committee meeting is tomorrow night at 6 PM
Okay.
here.
All right. Did you have a committee meeting?
No, we did not. We
Okay.
are, I think Andrea stated that, March 11th.
And we're gonna rename that committee to HR committee. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so,
What's it called now, negotiating?
Personnel and negotiation.
negotiation and personnel.
Just because of the sensitive items in that committee, we want to kind of have a more general committee to discuss HR issues.
So we're just working on early bird negotiations with the teachers. As everybody knows, we had a 1-year extension for their contract, to give the district some time and the teachers. So we're coming back to the table and we're coming in a pretty good place, I believe.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
Sure. John?
John, sorry.
Intergovernmental meeting has not yet been scheduled for February. The two things on our table, one of them got the wind taken out of its sails, and that's the Ramsey playground fence. Because we had that walkthrough and so much more information was tossed our way, it would be better to not finish hold a discussion on the finals of that yet. Let's finish analyzing what's out there and what needs to be done, and then have an intergovernmental meeting about it. And the other piece, of course, is police enhancements at the school from the municipality. Now, two other reminders from the advocacy side of the world. Pennsylvania School Board Association is going to have its Advocacy Day on Monday, April 8th, all day at the Capitol. I'm going to go out and I'm going to take our concerns out there. So I need to collect some from the board and some from the residents. If you have any concerns, suggestions, ideas, whatever, toss them my way. We'll wrap them up. Maybe we can take them out and see if we can get some money or some legislation tossed our way that would help us out a bit. The other one is we've got the PSBA, Pennsylvania School Board Association Spring Legal Roundup. It will be held soon. I signed up. It's free for us from the Gateway School Board. They talk about charter schools, special education, civil rights, liability, student discrimination, taxation, labor, transparency, and other stuff. So this is a real nice way for us to get the legal updates on a lot of those legally related issues. So you can sign up for that. We all got a note from the PSBA in the emails today. Just click on that. It takes about a minute to sign up. And it's a virtual meeting, and it's for free. So that's all I got, Robin.
All right, thank you, John.
Robin, can I
Yes.
just address that? For all of you, this week we got from the PSBA talking about budgets and what happened with PlanCon and talking about money in our buildings. I don't know if you all read that yet, but John, I will give you that because that needs to be discussed. They're saying the buildings in the state, our school buildings are getting older and older. Districts don't always have the resources when you look at all the things we need to do. That is just something that came to us this week. This is really critical. I mean, we have a rather lengthy list of things we need to do. And since they took PlanCon away from us, that really impacted us with Gateway Middle School. So if you have a chance, read that this week, and I will add that to the list. John, when you go out there, tell them we need money for our buildings.
Well, we need our money back. That's the trick.
That would be nice.
Our own money back. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
I do. Real quick, I just want to congratulate our winter sports are starting to wrap up here. I just want to congratulate our boys basketball team. They won last night against Penn Hills in a rubber match. It's a real exciting game. Great crowd attendance. They will be playing Thursday at Norwin against Franklin Regional, which will be another rubber match. Guys, I'm
What
not.
do you call it, rubber?
Rubber match, because they won one, we won one, so it's the rubber match. Come on, Susan, get with this. So, Susan, I'm so glad you asked that question, to be quite honest. It is, it's okay.
Lingo.
And we have a lot of swimmers and divers that will be competing in the Whitfield coming up, and hopefully I'll have a list Monday, at our next meeting. So, wish the boys good luck on Thursday. And I just want to send a shout out to Dr. Rossi had mentioned about the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank, Knowledge and Gateway. It takes a team effort with food service and all the cafeteria workers and everybody, but we do our food distribution once a month. And we started at, I'd say, approximately 150 families. We're close to over 700 families right now that we get. And it couldn't be done without the help of, I'm just gonna tell you first names, Kristen, Monica, and Jency. They just go above and beyond organizing the volunteers and everything that happens that Wednesday night. And yes, I get complaints every month about the traffic tie up on 48, but we've tried to bring the cars in different ways. It just doesn't work because they're used to coming in a certain way, but the need is there, so we're doing everything we can to help. But I just want to thank everybody that has worked together to give our families what they need. Thank you.
Can I piggyback on that? I don't think that people understand the significance of us achieving gold status. We are one of 11 organizations recognized and one of 5 school districts in those 11. When you look at silver and bronze, that's a lot more school districts. We are elite in that area, and it's very exciting and wonderful to see our commitment to overcoming food scarcity within the community. I really cannot thank everyone enough for their impact on our community. It was very shocking to see that statistic, to say the least. I didn't realize how much went into it and how fortunate we are to be one of 5 school districts recognized. And it's an honor, honestly. So thank you to everyone involved.
And even though Valerie's being very humble about it, she puts a lot of time and work and energy into it, and I commend her for that dedication as well. And if some of you after this meeting have time, over at the Monroeville Library, Dr. Anthony Mitchell, who was a retired professor from Penn State, will be talking about Black history, so you want to go with it.
All right, anyone else?
Can I just ask if we can have a quick executive session after?
Oh, I was already, that's why I whispered in his ear.
There's some questions.
Motion is in order to go into executive session for legal personnel and so notice to the public, we will not be, we will take no further votes, we'll just adjourn after the executive session.
All right, so we will,
Motion to go into executive.
motion to go into executive.
I got that, that's the interesting.
Second. Going into an executive. All in favor?
Aye.
No, we did that one.